So the team at SMS, Slightly Mad Studios, really want to focus on authenticity for this game. So, touching on what Nick said with the Live Track 3.0, the weather effects, let's say you're on the track and it starts to rain, the rain will start to puddle in certain areas just like it does at that actual track. So they've done a lot of work mapping all these tracks in the game to really focus on that authentic driving experience. So here, Nick's on the Mercedes ice track.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Which is not something you
This
do
looks
in.
tough.
Yeah.
As someone that's had to drive in Atlanta in the snow, this is exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
You're driving just like an Atlanta person in
Yeah,
snow.
Exactly. Here we go.
They actually went to Atlanta. They talked to all the drivers, and they got that data in there for the game. But actually on that point, the team at SMS has actually worked with a lot of professional drivers. They work with the manufacturers to make sure that the cars feel right. The actual shifting, the acceleration, the deceleration, all these things feel authentic. We really want to, as I said, that authenticity, push that kind of driver simulation to another level.
Did you do that to separate yourselves from the other games that might focus a bit more on
the fantasy of the car
The
drive?
arcadey kind of drivers? Yeah, that's always been kind of the goal of the team at Slightly Mad was, how can we make the kind of quintessential driving simulator? They didn't, it's still accessible for fans that maybe aren't as into the car culture or know as much about high-level driving. We have this game on so many different pieces of hardware. Obviously we got Xbox, PlayStation, PC. We have the Oculus VR support. You can play with the pad, you can play with the wheel, you can play it with your pedals. So there's.
Can you just set up the VR in a car and then drive a car on a track so you're playing a game in the car and then drive it?
I actually have done this for a reality TV show, and I'm going to say that's not very successful.
That's like Carception there. That's some meta stuff right
Choose
there.
first person mode is my advice in that case.
Here we go. Yeah. We got
That's
that.
beautiful, yeah, if you had to drive this virtually.
So, and you can see all the interiors of the cars. They've done a lot of work to really make sure it's perfectly authentic. And, of course, inside and outside of the car.
Do you guys offer any sponsored peripherals for driving wheels, pedals?
Yeah, what's the recommended best experience? For
As I said, you can play it on any piece of hardware you want. There's a lot of feedback from Project Cars 1 that the game, because it's so technical and it's very precise, that playing it on a pad was a little more difficult. So they've done a lot of work in Project Cars 2 to make sure that experience is a little bit more fine-tuned. But if you are kind of the car enthusiast kind of guy, and you have your Logitech wheel or you name it, there's so many different great pieces of hardware out that obviously is kind of the elevated experience. And then once you put the VR on, it's a whole nother level. Cars are smashing into you. You're looking around in your car. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. And like Dalton said, they kind of went back and redid everything. The controls for a pad, so it's a lot easier and it's a lot smoother now for Project Cars 2. They went back and redid all the AI and physics because you're doing things like racing on ice that you weren't able to do in Project Cars 1. It turns out the AI didn't like driving on ice in the first game. So.
Well, you guys put so much effort into lovingly rendering each one of these cars down to the exact detail.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to play with all the cars? Because sometimes I get these games and so many of them are so difficult to open. Even the best cars are so hard to get.
Yeah, that's one thing that SMS wanted to. We have such a wide repertoire of cars, but you can also take the cars and drive them on all the tracks. So you can take your Lamborghini and drive it in the ice, or obviously take your Mercedes.
Without having to unlock anything.
No,
right?
no, yeah.
So I pop this game in. I can take the premium best car you've got, put it on the coolest, craziest track, and go.
Yeah, so Slightly Mad Studios, as they're crashing these cars, view this game as a sports game, and what their thing is, when you play a basketball game, you don't have to unlock,
teams.
The Warriors, the teams. You can play, being from the Bay Area, the Warriors, or the Celtics, from Boston.
They're an unlocked team?
So you can play them from the start.
Celtics.
So you can just get in there and play with whatever team you like, and in Project Cars you can play with whatever car you feel like. And there's multiple disciplines. So we're playing with the regular cars here, but we have open wheel cars, go-karts,
you have go-karts?
rally cars. Yeah, there's a bunch of different.
Yes.
racing disciplines to play.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's a good point, Nick. You know, if you're a fan of a certain type of genre of racing, maybe you're not as interested in kind of the classic race styles. You know, there are more disciplines that you can go, and you can actually go through the career mode in the discipline that you want.
Yeah, is there a progression, a linear
Yeah,
progression?
yeah. So there is a career mode that allows you to progress. You know, going through the different tracks. You know, you're trying to race against the other competitors, kind of build your career as a driver in the circuit. And one thing I wanted to touch on too is you're talking about kind of what's the best way to play it. You know, obviously there's multiple difficulty levels that you can play in the game. So there's an easier mode that will, you know, auto shift for you and take off. So if you take damage in the game to your car in certain modes, it'll actually affect how the car drives, right?
Okay.
You'll see your car take damage, but that'll also affect your experience. Now, if you don't want that, let's say you're still kind of learning, there's easier modes that kind of allow you to start, you know, learn the game, learn the basics, and then maybe you can jump onto those modes a little later.
The
so,
rain looks fantastic.
yeah,
by
so
the way.
yeah, I wanted to mention that. So now we're kind of start seeing the dynamic weather effects. We're in Fuji here in Japan.
What's really cool is that you see bands of waves of rain coming through, not just like consistent.
Exactly.
Like,
It's like the snow outside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm actually really glad we're in here right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty bad out there right now.
You were touching on competition before, and this was something I noticed reading up about the game. Are you guys going to be doing some online leagues, like some things within the game?
Correct. So we kind of started the esports online leagues kind of like after Project Cars were released. For this one, it's fully integrated into the game, so they'll have dedicated broadcaster support in the game. They'll have hooks in the game to for Twitch to kind of broadcast and stream the game.
Like that
Set up your
spectator
own
mode,
league. Yeah,
somebody
spectator
can float
mode.
over, watch the whole match.
Yeah, and set up your own leagues if you want, and there's open up a lot to the community.
With such a fine-tuned game, with the level of authenticity, we really think it's going to be great for the competitive players.
Totally. The glass ceiling is going to be so high for these people.
And there's also some interesting stuff you can do. So you can actually change certain things that you want on the track. So let's say you don't want the dynamic weather, or you want to turn the weather all the way up. So that'll actually change the competitive too. So, you know, all of a sudden it could go from rain to snow, you know, and that's going to affect how people are driving against each other.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So as you can see, the graphics here are fantastic. This game has, you know, Project Cars 1 still to this day still looks fantastic. A lot of streamers and YouTubers and tech sites still use that as kind of a benchmark for graphics on PC. But you know, this game's gonna have 12K support, 4K support.
12K?
Yeah.
So you got 4K 3 monitors essentially. Oh my gosh.
You're there.
And that'll be in VR too.
Yeah, so you can imagine, with the VR support, the high-end PC support, and then of course we also have PS4 and Xbox One support as well. So there's lots of ways to play it. You know, a lot of things to get excited about for Project Cars 2.
What's the Project Cars community like? Like, where does it live online, and what's the the general tone of it?
You know, it's a lot of real car enthusiasts. You know, as I said, we're trying to kind of push the limit of simulation, car simulations. So it brings a lot of those guys and women to the game, and a lot of people got excited on Project Cars 1, and now they're even more excited for 2 to kind of push the limit.
Is there any like silly modes in this game that don't replicate a racetrack? Is there anything more of like a free mode?
I don't think so.
No?
Yeah, no. And then speaking to the community, you know, the game, I don't know if we talked about this here, but it's crowdfunded.
Oh, okay.
Through slightly SMS's funding development platform, World of Mass Development. And so for Project Cars 1 in this game, it is kind of co-developed with gamers in mind. So people who funded the game can get daily builds and get their feedback, and they can provide feedback to the team.
Yeah, that is an amazing community.
Yep, and then we're also working with, or SMS is working with professional racers. So we have Ben Collins, who was formerly the Stig for Top Gear. We have Nicholas Hamilton.
What kind of information have they provided you that you weren't able to get elsewise?
So they'll go to the tracks and play, and they'll play the game. So since they're pros and experts at these tracks, they'll race the track, get on the game, on the track in the game, and provide their feedback.
See how it feels one-to-one.
What have some of the racers said after they've played this?
Actually, talking to SMS, they've actually said a lot of the guys, because a lot of the racer guys don't like the car simulation games. They don't feel real.
Well, like the racing arcade games, right?
Yeah, they like, this isn't really what racing's like. You don't really get it right. But as going through Project Cars 1 and kind of demoing the game with the drivers, a lot of the guys, through their feedback and through time, have actually are really excited about where it's at now, and they're even more excited for 2, which is awesome.
When is 2 being released, or is that not public yet?
Later this year.
Later this year.
Okay.
Late
Soon.
2017.
Soon,
Yeah.
TM. So with a lot of these racing games, I think of aesthetic changes. Is there any kind of like decals that you can add, or is this focused on like the cars that you're going to see like at an actual track?
They're focused on the cars you can see on the track. At least for Project Cars 1, I
can't have a like Hummer with like flames on the side of it.
There were community-made decals and items you can use to kind of dress up your car a little bit, but nothing too custom. Yeah.
You guys are just focusing purely on like the actual driving aspect of a driving game. What a crazy concept!
You know, and you know, partnering with all of these manufacturers and working with McLaren and Mercedes and you name it, we want to make sure that the models of the cars really represent what they're like in real life. You know, so you can have that chance to jump in your McLaren 750. And,
is there a stats for each car, like depending on like control, speed, acceleration?
Yes.
Okay.
And is there anyone anywhere here at PAX that we can see this at its highest resolution?
No, we're not showing it on the floor at PAX.
Okay. This is exclusive, guys. Pay attention.
Yes.
But
we will have it at more shows moving forward as we approach that late 2017 launch date, and we'll also be releasing more information on the social channels, Facebook.com/Project Cars, and also on the Bandai Namco channels as well. So Facebook.